Welcome to Super Connected. With me, Tim Arnold, and my special guests. We invite you to join us in an intimate and honest exploration into the theme of connection. What it means to be connected to each other, what it means to be connected to ourselves, and what it means to connect in an ever-changing world. And welcome to Super Connected. This week, my guests are two very dear friends. I could almost call them family. They're extended family. And even though you might not know who they are, you've probably seen them in London. Bryanne and Simon come from Scotland and the Midlands, respectively. They met in 1987 and started working together soon after. They started their first business making and selling hats. And also around this time, Bryanne started working in film, TV and theatre as a costume designer. They've both worked in and out of the entertainment industry ever since, and at present spend most of their time running a Highland wear company using Bryanne's kilt-making skills to good use. Simon has also acted and worked as a stage manager while also dealing with the business side of their company. Along the way, they've worked on other people's projects, including mine, with other designers, and have also gone by the motto, variety is the spice of life. So please welcome Simon Reeves and Bryanne Mackintosh-Melville, who I've already been reprimanded for misspelling on a credit, which will be rectified quite soon. Welcome to the show. I asked you both to do this because I thought for a long time, why isn't there a show with you both on it? So when I was given the chance to have a show here on Soho Radio, I thought, well, that's good. We can get Bryanne and Simon on. Bryanne, do you want to just tell us a little bit about your journey, how you are where you are now, having come from Scotland and now being in London, and very much part of the, what should we call it, the nightlife scene of London?
I came to London basically for a sabbatical, just to have a holiday and have a break before I went back north and rooted myself down. And basically I met the husband and never went back.
So you met Simon very quickly. I mean, the show, this is obviously, people know by now, this is about connections and having a practically married couple on a show. It is a lovely way to celebrate connection. Simon, how do you fit into that story from your perspective?
Well, I came down to university. And
you were in university in London?
Yeah, I came down to university and I met Bryanne at the beginning of my second year.
Right.
And
oh gosh, so how old were you when you met Bryanne?
I was 19.
You were 19 and Bryanne? You were...
Let's not say it.
A little bit older.
Slightly.
Okay.
But he lied about his age.
Oh, he did?
He did, yes.
He said he was even older.
Yeah. I didn't find out your proper age till we'd been together about 2 years, I think.
Yeah, you spotted my passport on our holiday.
Passport when it was wrong, but it didn't really matter.
And did you start working together immediately? Or did that evolve over time?
Kind of, yeah. We kind of came up with a notion of, I think you're young and you're foolish, aren't you, really? So you kind of think, oh, let's have a, well, we do. We go, oh, let's have a go at that. And
what was that?
Which was making hats.
Can we set the scene? You're both living in London at this point.
Yeah, we'd moved
We're talking early 80s?
Late 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s?
It was about 88 when we started working together. So I was still at college and Bryanne made me a hat. Hats were quite big in the days. So I said, this is really good. We should just do this. And
After I made them for everyone at your
he
university.
made everyone a hat, and I said, well, we should make these and sell these. So we did. So we opened up a stall in Covent Garden Market
Oh, really?
and did it on a
I never
Sunday.
knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was doing that when I was still at uni, and we used to do it at kind of weekends. It was great. It was a good, different vibe then down there, so it was really good.
Sure.
It's all gone a bit corporate now.
And
But
Covent
then-
Garden, then, I mean, you're closer to, I mean, it's a different era, but the Blitz and the new romantic wave that
It's
happened.
kind of the end of that.
It was the end of that,
Yeah,
but
end
it
of
was
that.
it's still
there was still a
there
bit
wasn't
of
an Apple
element to
store
that.
in the middle of it all.
No, Apple didn't exist.
Yeah.
No, there was no mobile phones. So it was just like we did that, and that took off, and then we ended up moving to and having a shop in Ealing, and it just progressed from there. And we did that for about 10 years.
Do you still make hats?
Occasionally.
Yeah,
occasionally.
occasionally.
Yeah, I used to make an awful lot more clothes for myself then too.
Yeah, we had more time.
So I was trying to explain to my partner the other day what you both do,
No one ever knows.
and I said they look fabulous, and they make kilts. But that's not quite it, is it? You do make kilts, or do you?
Brian makes it.
You
We
make-
sell all the
yeah.
accessories as well.
I'm the cheap labour. Simon's management.
Yeah.
He knows how to make money. I'm creative.
My family come from my dad's side of the family come from the Birmingham Bull Rings markets.
Wow.
So they've all made their money on market stalls, really, and they all made big money. And it must be in the blood, because I enjoy selling things. I don't really
Yeah.
care about the money. I just enjoy selling things.
Yeah, you like the
So-
process of that, and,
Yeah.
and looking after customers and customers coming back and people being
Well,
loyal.
funny
to-
enough, we do it online now, so
Yeah.
I don't really have a relationship with customers
Anymore.
But I actually enjoy
So that's an
creating something
interesting.
and selling it.
That's an interesting point to dip into the sort of the meat of what these shows are about, connecting and how we connect to each other,
Yeah.
how strangers connect, how family connects, how we connect to ourselves, and that's just picking up on what you just said about now you do everything online, so you don't have relationship with the customers.
No,
is what you just
it's
said.
impersonal now. So you'll get a message, and people don't. We come from a generation where you didn't have mobile phones and stuff like that, so you had to speak to someone, or if you sold in the shop, you had to converse with people. And people don't converse now; they kind of like cut it down to bite size. They'll ask a basic question. There's no thing, and you just give them the basic answer. So you never really get a rapport with people.
So I'm really old fashioned. So if I bought something online, I probably say more in an email or a message than the person that's selling really wants to hear from me, because I like connecting to him. But do you get that?
I appreciate that when it comes. I really appreciate it, because communication isn't just the words that come out your mouth. As my old mother says to me, and she still says to me, don't listen to everything someone tells you. Listen to the silences. You'll learn an awful lot more. And when you're sitting face to face with someone, their facial expression, their physicality can actually tell you things that they can't quite express in words. So even though it's a customer trying to get across a point or a notion that they want, the expression that comes across on a face-to-face meeting is far easier to understand than written words.
Do you miss that, Brian? I mean, you both run the business together, don't you? So,
Yeah. Do we miss it? There's elements that you don't miss customers because they drive you mad.
okay.
But but probably we go out an awful lot
yeah, so
because we don't have.
that's the ace
that
up my sleeve, the
relationship.
bit when we get to
Yeah.
talk about you both going out.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in the bit where you're not going. We don't hear a lot about your.
We're quite.
Actually,
yeah.
our business meetings, and they have been since the day we met, are sitting up in bed late at night.
Yeah.
And Simon knows my creative side, and he has a business mind, and we'll sit up in bed and discuss things. And he's very supportive, very encouraging. Even when we did television and theatre together, we could sit up in bed of an evening and Simon would say, we have to do something like this, this, this. An example, I did a commedia dell'arte one evening. I was offered this theatre piece and I went, I'm not really sure about this. And Simon says, it's Molière, you've got to do it. And I went, oh. And he sat up in bed and just described this, how Molière actually worked, this travelling group of actors going from village to village, pulling everything out of trunk and performing, packing it all up and moving on. And by the time...
And you were being offered the chance to work with them as a sort of designer,
costume designer for this Molière. It was the Hypochondriac. And following morning, I woke up with no understanding of Molière at all previously. And the whole lot just hit me in the head. Designed something that I actually got rave reviews, Time Out and everything, did a huge half-page spread on me about it. I mean, when I worked for the BBC at one point, I was rushing into studios and working with BBC Education by day, rushing home, dumping my things and running off to the theatre to do fittings for a costume piece I was doing for the theatre. Because it's friends and they would phone up and say, desperately need you to work on this piece. Well, you don't let friends down. It's a case of, well, you pounce at it.
And how do you feel about that? That's very different to your working now. Your working is very contained, isn't it? And online and...
Well, we said
miss
this,
it.
that we do miss it now.
Hugely.
At the time, it was working in the theatre and stuff's great, and we really, really enjoyed the buzz of it. But we'd gone for a spell of doing so much that we suddenly realised, and this was going back into a day and age when there was no satellite TV. Well, not so much satellite TV. We didn't have it. So there's an age group who know Get Stuffed. That TV programme that was on.
Yeah, I remember it. In fact, I remember one recipe, which was called beanie pie.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
I remember it.
Well, there's an age group that we were coming home and our evening on television was Get Stuffed.
Yeah.
And we suddenly realised that, oh my God, we haven't seen...
That was in the days of The Word and Terry Christian.
Yeah,
and
so,
that, we ate our evening meal while that was on television, sitting in the early hours of the morning thinking, our whole life's upside down.
And we'd started the kilt business because obviously you working in the industry, you go through, there's gaps in between, and we don't particularly like gaps in between. We like to fill it up.
Keep
so
going,
we started the kilt business on the side, thinking this is a good. Well, when it brings a little bit of money in, but it fills the gaps in between. So you're not panicked about work coming up. So we started that, and then it kind of took off.
On to the fact that you are very, you're social animals, you know. You're
Really?
always at the theatre, always at a concert, always at festivals even.
We do, yeah.
All sorts, and your social media feeds are a joy to behold. For many of us who are lucky to be friends with you on those platforms. That sounds like the contrast to the work that's very sort of contained.
We keep our work life and our social media life to an extent. We don't separate, and that's why a lot of people think we don't work.
If only.
Yeah.
Some people forget we've been working, and we like to go out. Not so much the going out. We like to go and see things.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing
especially live performance.
We
love live performance.
Yeah. So it kind of.
I mean, I've never noticed anything particularly negative.
I never say anything negative,
which is a lovely. There's a lot that you're both quite connected on social media. I mean, there's a lot of engagement with your friends and people that are just nosy about what you're doing and where you're going.
Yeah.
But I've never seen any evidence of you doing what some people do on social media,
which is being negative.
Very well, not necessarily negative, but very critical.
Yeah, I mean, I think, especially if we're going to see something, I might not like it, but I'm not. I would prefer someone to go and have their own opinion than to actually put it down and muddy the water with something. Because I think it's because you like read film reviews and they'll go, "This is the worst movie ever," and you see it and you think, "Actually, I really enjoyed that." So
Now, like fine ladies of the theatre, neither of you want to mention your age, but there's a particular reason that I'd like to at least get an idea of your ages for our listeners.
I'm not.
If you don't
I'm
mind.
52.
Oh, you can
Am
say
Am I
52?
52? Yes, I'm 52.
And we know you're a little bit
going
older.
to be 53.
I'm
very
53 this
shortly.
year. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're a little bit older, aren't you, Brad?
I'm 56 coming up for
Okay.
57.
Yeah, so it's not a great difference.
Okay,
Yes.
so the reason I say that is because I see you both kind of displaying a healthy attitude towards social media. And of course, there are the other sides of social media where teenagers are having mental health problems because of too much of it. Some people, probably close to my age in their 40s, are kind of freaking out a little bit because of the overload of connectivity.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing you both here, and I see you regularly, and I do pay attention to what you're doing on your social media feeds, and it seems like you're handling it all fine. How does that feel when you know that there are other?
Oh no, we can
Oh,
see
we
the
do
pitfalls,
have opinions.
and
We do have negative opinions about things. But at the end of the day, especially when you spoke about performance, you never hear us being critical about something. There's nothing worse for any performer or any performance at all to be criticised at the point of coming down or finishing. It's when any performer's most vulnerable. And when I did costume design, I spent half my time trying to make sure that people didn't collapse at the end of it. Every artist, even yourself as a performing artist, you're always critical of your own work. And you carry that burden on your shoulder. But someone else giving it too close to that moment in time can break you in two. And it takes such energy and it takes such courage to put your work out
You're
there.
hinting a little bit at the kind of cyberbullying.
Yeah, I
think
have
so.
a real distaste to it.
I
Utter
think,
distaste.
I think everyone sees everything in black and white now, and I kind of think the world's more grey. You can go and see something and you don't like the film, but it can look stunning. So just to turn around and say that something's rubbish doesn't actually answer your opinion of it, because there's always a plus and a negative to everything.
Yeah. So whilst both of you would say something fair to positive rather than something
I
that's
think
negative
so.
to positive, why do you think other people just go straight to the one word?
It's easy.
Terrible.
It's easy to
No,
do that.
but
But it is easy, but it still requires some sort of permission.
I think people nowadays think they have to have an extreme opinion. So they can't, if they're going to dislike something, they have to hate it.
Am I right in saying that when you say people nowadays feel they need to have an extreme opinion, you mean an extreme opinion online? Because you wouldn't walk up to somebody
I
and
think
say it to their face.
I call it librarian syndrome. I know some librarians, I don't want to insult them, but is that they have to be quiet all the time, and so when they tell someone off in a library, they're really rude. And you know how you get that whole and I kind of think it's quiet people suddenly have the option to hide behind a computer and rant at people, because they're not going to get any comeback.
And that works in a positive way as well, doesn't it? Maybe perhaps people who are shy and don't have outlets where they can express themselves suddenly feel they can do that online.
Yeah. I think you have to look at yourself. And, I mean, I was speaking to a friend of ours who I'd seen him on social media over the last 6 months just ranting at everyone. I mean, really, really having a go at people, to the point where, especially on Twitter, I thought he was out of order. And I'd said to Bryanne, the next time I see this person, I'm going to say something. And he said, why? And I said, because it's not them, and they're kind of letting themselves down, because I know them as a person. So how they were portraying themselves on social media was out of order. So I saw them not long ago, and I said, can I just have a word? You're kind of, what's happened to you? And he actually said, I feel as if I'm just shouting and ranting at everyone. It's becoming a mental health issue. What should I do? So
Wow.
I said, remove yourself from it and take a breath before you answer.
Yeah.
Because we can all see something, because everything's a click point, you know. Everything's trying to get you wound up. So you have to look at it, breathe, and then think, is it worth answering? And 9 times out of 10, it's not.
There is the other angle. We've got a close friend at the moment who's really struggling to come off of social media.
Yeah.
And
They want to come off.
Yeah.
basically because of the negativity. And quite often we would chat on the phone. We speak most days on the telephone. And she was being so critical of the way people are behaving. Or did you see what that one did? And you see, and I said, well, turn away from it. Just because that post's in front of you, you don't like what you're seeing. Move on to the next one. Just let it go. But she got to the stage everything was getting in her head. And now I think she's been off of social media for about a fortnight. And she's actually quite proud. It's almost like it's like an alcoholic giving up booze or something. She's so proud of
Only because
herself
I'm
now.
fascinated in the kind of people that happens to. What kind of age is she?
Older than me. She's actually just turned 60. And we absolutely adore her, a very, very close friend. But she began to get, because of course she's single, and she began to look at some of the things that were going on. She would get bitter at other people's happiness. She would sometimes even get upset at people commenting on posts that she was even involved with, just because somehow she got an umbrage at something they might have said 2 months previous. And this psychology was beginning to screw her up quite badly.
I mean, it often sounds like, and from those two stories that you've just described, that it sounds like you're talking about a drug that someone's
It is.
trying to give up.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is.
In your experience,
Yeah, I think you have to. I mean,
But you both have a sort of, I don't know, a way to manage this particular drug.
I'm probably. When we first joined social media, actually, we only joined Facebook. This is the thing. We only joined.
That's another reason. It was so wonderful to have you both on the show, because you use social media a lot, but you've got healthy minds and healthy attitudes. And
When we first joined social media, this is something you really don't know about me. It wasn't for us personally. It was for my drag persona.
Oh yeah, you did. You had a he's a drag thing. We actually joined Facebook.
what's your drag persona
I'm
called?
not going to tell you. She's retired.
She's retired. Well, I never met her, so she must have been. Yeah, on the basis that it's widely known that some of the original engineers of Facebook have since come out and regretted developing the algorithms that they developed to sort of entice people into having that. I think it's based on the one-armed bandit approach, isn't it? Of gambling. There's an addictive quality that it conditions you into that.
Yeah.
But obviously that doesn't work with everybody. What do you think it is that you two probably got some sort of superpower in your lives that means you're using Facebook and it's not using you? What might that be?
Actually, when we took away the drag persona and we worked our own Facebooks properly, we saw the negativity behind the whole lot of it. It's very easy to pick up on the negativity. And we both sat down and said, this is actually like old school. It's keeping an online diary. And if you look at our Facebook especially, I mean, I don't do Twitter, you do, and I sometimes do Instagram. We treat it like a diary. It's a diary of our life together. And we're never apart. We're together 24/7.
Yeah.
So anything one of us does, the other one's there beside them.
True.
So it is our diary of our life in a funny way.
So that's how we treat it. When we post that we're going to see something, it's more like a reminder to us that we've done it. And also, if we're going to see something we like, it's nice to take. People don't keep photo albums anymore, so it's actually quite nice to have that reminder.
I do.
But yeah, you do. I'm not bothered. And also, we quite early on realised that Facebook isn't real, and what people post isn't real. So if you kind of look at it like that, it's no one's being truthful. Everyone's either hiding something or putting a false persona or looking for attention, everything. When you realise that it's not real, it's not in your Facebook and you as a person are totally different people. So if people are judging you on your Facebook persona, they don't know you. And if you look at it like that, it's much easier.
You find it quite easy. It's harmless for you to use, based on what you just said, which I think is very true. It's another reality. It's certainly not the reality that we have here sitting in the studio talking to each other. But there's 2 billion people who are using it and invested in some way in that. What do you think it is then that a third of the, just over a third of the population of the planet have taken to that in a way that they can't quite let go of? If
you're on your own and you need someone to talk to, it kind of gives you the option to say what you want to say, and people will give you an answer. But to an extent, that's how Facebook was quite good at the beginning. But that has become a drug for people as well.
But there's the opposite element to it. There's the people who come across so eloquent, so sharp, so witty on social media, and they're people our age group. Put them into a social environment and they can't communicate. They can't string a sentence together.
Music is something that we use to communicate with other people when we start socialising.
Yeah.
And you talked about social media and how that way of socialising is affecting people's ability to communicate.
I think it's taking a real toll. Once upon a time, I thought it was the youth. I really do think it was the youth. But even people our age group who've maybe married, settled down with children, and they've used social media as a way of keeping in contact, but actually lost the communication skills they might have had in their youth when we knew them in our youth. And you're actually seeing people that were the real life and soul of a party nowadays. Trouble stringing a sentence.
What do you think, Simon?
I agree, because we get accused of knowing everybody. And they go, you know everyone. And I said, it's because we talk to everyone. And we don't care who we talk to.
Everyone has something to say. And you should
I think that's why we get on, because I'm like that as well.
Never, Tim, never.
Ridiculous lack of boundaries.
And when you say to people who seem to spend their life on Facebook, come out. They don't want to come out and interact with people. They can hide behind a screen where they feel very vulnerable putting themselves into a public arena. I think I've learnt with age that you can't expect, and I think I've said this to you before, you can't expect everyone to like you, so don't try to be liked, if that makes sense. Do you
think there's a fault of a lot of those platforms encouraging the users of the platform to try to get everybody to like them?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the game, isn't it?
I think it also leaves people quite scared. Because they're always seeking something that actually doesn't exist. They're watching things and feeling, why isn't that me?
They're not happy.
Why am I not doing this? Why am I not getting that? And it's superficial.
We were at someone's party, and I won't mention their names, and this person and the other person took a photograph of themselves, and this person's kind of famous. Not famous, but well known, and they put them up, and I was standing next to them, and A said to B, how many likes have we had? And B said, we've had 45. And he went, oh, that's been half an hour, it's not going well, pull it. Right. And I thought, give it time.
That's a really interesting story, and very
why do you need that
diplomatically told for whoever A and B might be. Sorry, go on, Bryanne.
I was saying, why need that adulation in life?
Yeah.
Why seek approval?
Well, what we've walked into, of course, is kind of mental health, but behavioural issues and all the kind of challenges that many of us grow up with, which is a lot of us seek approval and have done for probably thousands of years. But suddenly there's there's a device and a program or an app that we can use to avoid having to sort out our issues of wanting everybody to like us and love us.
But as you get older, you realise the things your grandmother said to you when you were a child. Life goes really fast when you get old. It does, and it gets faster. And all of a sudden you think, well, this mortal coil isn't going to last forever. Enjoy it. Grasp the moment. Who cares what people think as long as I'm not being bad to people or mean to people? I just want to enjoy my life, and I actually think it's been fulfilling to me. And I don't want riches in my life. I don't want fame in my life. I want to be happy. And seeking happiness, that's what people should look for. Not approval, happiness. Simplest thing on earth.
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, I kind of knew when I began these shows that I was basically opening myself up as a target for very young people who just would think we were three aliens discussing social media as if there's some issue with it. But I really love hearing the different ideas about that way that we're connecting from people who haven't lost their minds, and I know that are good at connecting in a sort of natural, analog, and very human way as well, like you guys.
I mean, I think we're going on about Facebook. I think for the youth, Instagram has been the worst thing because they're bombarded with images of people looking fantastic.
Well, this is the great thing that Jamil is.
Who's fantastic.
He's amazing.
And she's great at saying...
Yeah.
And I think, I totally agree with her, is the fact that no one looks like that.
Yeah.
You know, that you'll get these perfect images of people and saying, you know...
I said Jamelia. It's Jamila.
Jamila.
Yeah.
And no one looks like that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, but they're all striving for perfection. And we're lucky we kind of...
What do we think perfect... When you say, I kind of know what you mean, but what do we think perfection is really? If we're all striving for that, what is that?
It can vary.
It can vary.
In my opinion, perfection is actually contentment.
Yeah, but I think
perfection.
But for but it all comes down to...
In terms of making your photograph on Instagram perfect, what does that mean?
It's all about adoration and attention, and they want to fit in. There's not as much self-expression.
Okay, fitting in.
Yes.
That's a good one. Fitting in. So fitting in with something already that looks, I don't know, successful or...
Yeah, I mean, you've got the...
Content.
You've got people like Kim Kardashian and Beyonce and everything like that. They're putting out these images of themselves that they've probably spent a good hour soft focusing it and editing it and everything like that. It's not how they look. It's not the reality. And they're portraying that, and people are striving. Everyone strives to be like their hero. So Bowie came out, and Bowie had wonky teeth, and he wasn't perfect, and he was a bit extreme, and he looked a bit like an alien, and everyone wanted to be like Bowie. So everyone wanted to be slightly odd. Now it's the opposite. Everyone wants this beautiful image of, you know, they'll go on about people's beauty and they'll say Beyonce's got fantastic skin. I mean,
so it's not so much that people want to be perfect. People want to be...
They don't want to step out the box.
Yes.
I think the late 70s into the mid 80s especially was a really huge point of self-expression, not just in this country, out west as well, where people actually thought well and truly out the box, and you didn't really want to look like anyone else. It was complete self-expression.
Does that sound like fear?
No, it was self-expression.
Not that, now.
No, it is.
Oh, yeah, it's utter fear. They're actually frightened to step out the box. They want to fit in. They want to be part of something.
It's a way of control.
Yeah.
I mean, I think...
I'd say both of you are kind of good examples of not having fear. There's nobody that looks like you, Simon, and there's nobody that looks like you, Bryanne. You're quite
eccentric.
Well, eccentric is one way of describing it. I just
But
think it's
self-expression.
unique, which everybody is unique. So is there a fear of unique being something that is negative? If people are struggling to become like, I don't know, Kim Kardashian or something.
Yeah, I think people deep down want to fit in. So they won't try and do something. They don't want to be the oddity.
But that doesn't just go to looks. That also goes to what they say on social media.
So there's a sense, anyway, that social media is
Dictating how you...
dictating all kinds of things now. We know that, don't we? Because of Carol Capelada's investigations and Chris Wiley's whistleblowing on the Cambridge Analytica scandal. There's evidence. But we all carry on.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be my last question. If we think the landscape of social media, Facebook in particular, is the sort of biggest and most widely used platform, is really dangerously making us communicate with each other in ways that are not real. Why do all of me included, I'm just as guilty as everyone else, why do we carry on?
Because people are worried they'll miss out. Because you've jumped on the train of Facebook, and people are worried that they'll miss something if they're not on it. I think once you've started, it's a bit like playing the lottery. You worry if you stop playing the lottery, that's when your numbers are going to come up.
Do you think it would be an achievement if we were to stop it?
It has a very positive angle. We all have relations who live abroad. We have friends who live abroad. We have friends who are a million miles away at the other end of the country. You can't always keep in touch with them by telephone.
I have that with my mother.
Exactly.
Without FaceTime, I'd be a little
But
lost.
With social media, sometimes it's nice to know a cousin in Australia has done a certain thing, or a friend up north who you haven't been able to speak to for so long has just got a new job or a new baby's on the way. It has the positive angles of being able to put with what people are doing, but sometimes trying to rip the crap away from it to see these things is the most difficult out the whole lot.
It's a great way of linking you to people. I think people have to realise that that's what it's there for. It's there to link you with people.
Yeah.
But you have to get away from the screen and go out and live life to actually get the benefit of it.
I mean, I feel now that the choices between regulating the platform or regulating yourself is, I think we have to regulate ourselves and our use of those things.
Yeah,
really.
I think that's true. I mean, everyone can complain about Facebook, but you have to learn to be more in control of what you do.
Yeah.
You can't blame.
It's a challenge for all of us to be slightly more centred. Yeah. Listen, we've come to the end of the show.
Oh, no.
I want to ask one last question from each of you, and it's really what is the most important connection in your life, Simon?
Important? Well, probably Bryanne is the important connection. It's been part of my life.
And Bryanne, what is your most important connection?
Actually, I'd have to say Simon.
Yes, we've been together for...
I can remember my childhood without him, but I can't really think of a point of my life that he wasn't there.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you both so much.
That's okay, thank you.